Texans tick off. Which draft pick would tick Texans fans off the most? They have 2 picks, as we all know, in the first round, number 3 and number 13. What player could they take, really in either spot, but I guess we'll start with number 3 because that's coming up here. What player could they pick that the vast majority of the fan base would be upset with?
So I've got a top 5 for my Texans tick off at pick number 3.
Okay.
And these are all realistic options, right? I didn't just pick a guy who's going to go on day 3 and throw him in at pick number 3 for the sake of this.
Matt Araiza, punter, San Diego State University.
Not going number 3 overall.
No.
Neither is Jalen Weidermeyer from A&M. So obviously, we kept things realistic for the sake of this exercise. So 5-1. Number 5, it's kind of a cop-out. Either offensive tackle. It's number 5 on my list.
Okay.
Number 4, Derek Stingley Jr.
Oh.
Draft pick that would piss Texans fans off the most if made at 3. I don't know how many teams have Derek Stingley ahead of Sauce Gardner. Some people maybe would argue that Derek Stingley should be higher on this list, but with the amount of LSU fans we have down here, with the amount of people seemingly excited about taking a cornerback, I don't think Derek Stingley is that high on this list. I don't think everybody would be thrilled, but Derek Stingley's number 4. Number 3, Kyle Hamilton, safety out of Notre Dame. I think more people would be madder about Kyle Hamilton than Derek Stingley because I think more people value corner over safety. Number 2, Travon Walker, the edge from Georgia, who might not be an option for the Texans at 3. There's a lot of people who think he's going to go number 1 to Jacksonville, and as of now, he is the Vegas favorite to go number 1 to Jacksonville. I feel like Travon Walker, even if he does fall to 3, that would piss some Texans fans off. I don't think any fan base really picking in the top 3 or 4 is that enamored by Travon Walker. Obviously, the potential's there, but the production in college, not so much. Everybody knows there's a pretty major risk factor with taking that dude. But number 1, guys.
I don't not know where you're going with this.
Based off our texts, based off social media reaction, based off conversations that I've heard from Texans fans everywhere, I think the player that the Texans could realistically take at 3 that would piss the most Texans fans off is Kayvon Thibodeaux.
Interesting.
I think Kayvon Thibodeaux is the guy. It's not number 1 for me. He's not my guy that would make me mad. I'd be perfectly fine with the Texans ending up with Kayvon Thibodeaux. I think I'm higher on him than most. But just based on the reaction I've seen from Texans fans, every time his name has been brought up over the last couple of months, he's incredibly polarizing, and I think a lot of people would be ticked off if he is the Texans pick at 3, especially considering who else could be on the board if he's available.
Is that based on the thoughts of people getting ticked off about that and the reaction that he draws when you bring his name up? Is that based on just what has happened during this draft season? Because you finish the year, and there was a thought Kayvon Thibodeaux could be 1-1 before the year was over. I know that once Aiden Hutchinson got into the Heisman Trophy conversation and found himself in New York, won the Rotary Lombardi Award, I knew that he was certainly in conversation for 1-1. But Kayvon Thibodeaux spent a good portion of 2021's college football season as a potential number 1 overall pick, and then draft seasons had this massive character assassination of him.
I think from a Texans perspective, the thing that turned Texans fans off of KT the most was the
Clowney comment.
Jadeveon Clowney 2.0 comments.
Which is taken out of context because he says he's Clowney 2.0. He's Clowney, but a better pass rusher.
Yeah, and that's what he said. Like, he elaborated on the quote and explained why he said what he said, but people just saw Jadeveon Clowney, and look, Clowney was fine. He's been a good pro, but obviously underwhelming as the number 1 overall pick. The Texans don't want another Jadeveon Clowney, a guy who doesn't sign a second contract here, a guy who's out of here after 4 or 5 years. They want something better than that. So for me, I think there'll obviously be some Texans fans who are happy with the pick, but man, it feels like the majority of Texans fans would be ticked off if KT was the pick at 3.
I feel like you could quickly talk them into the conversation about how, hey, he's a pass rusher who needed that, the potential, things of that nature, but you're right about the Clowney comment. For me, it's Kyle Hamilton. I'll be pulling my hair out if Kyle Hamilton's the pick at 3. And I just don't get it. I wouldn't understand it. It's not like the draft process has been kind to him. He dealt with an injury, so it's not like he played a whole year and you can point to all the film. Like, oh, this guy was amazing the whole year. Like, yeah, it hurt in the middle of the year. So I don't know that would be one that could get people very excited. Safety at 3 overall. Then the next one is Travon Walker. Oh, betting on potential instead of production. Like, well, this guy, you go to the box score, and look, I criticize people for being box score bozos all the time and only looking at the box score. But you go to the career production, it ain't there. Oh yeah, well he wasn't asked to do this at Georgia. Well, do we know if he can? So you're betting on potential. So Travon Walker too, and then Derek Stingley's 3 for me from Texans fans, just because I feel like most Texans fans would see him as the number 2 or number 3 corner on a lot of people's boards and be like, well, why'd they take the second or third best corner when the first guy's on the board?
Especially when Sauce seems to be so popular with his fan base. Seems like Sauce Gardner's like the trendy pick that Texans fans like. If we ran a poll right now, Texans fans, who do you want? I think Sauce would win overwhelmingly. I see it all the time on the comments on Twitter. See it all the time on YouTube when people comment on our videos saying Sauce, 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 Sauce. So I would say the pick that would tick off the most Texans fans, to me, would either be Hamilton or Walker for the reasons Cody outlined. Positional value with Hamilton, taking a safety that high, who might very well be available at 13. And with Walker, you're going to take a guy over the sure thing in production from Kayvon Thibodeaux, who led college football in pressure rate. So I think it's one of those two guys. And then Stingley to a lesser degree, although I think there's some Texans fans that realize, hey, Stingley's a baller. Just look at what he did in 2019, and you could sell yourself on that. So that would probably be my order too, Cody. It'd be those two players you mentioned, and then Derek Stingley in that third spot.
What about 13, fellas? Obviously, more options there. More guys in play at 13 than at 3. One of you guys can go first. Which guys would piss you off the most, and which player would piss Texans fans off the most if Nick Caserio selected him at 13?
This would not piss me off, but I'm going to tell you the player that would piss Texans fans off. It would not piss me off. I'd go on the damn media tour explaining to every Texans fan why this was a genius selection. But if you take Tyler Linderbaum at 13, people are going to look around and go, a center who can't play guard? A center? That's what most Texans fans would say. A center? Why not a wide receiver? Why not a edge rusher? Why not a corner? Why not a linebacker? A center? You would talk about not being sexy at 3 with a left tackle or a future left tackle.
Yeah.
Picking a center does not get people excited. It's tough for the ticket people on Friday morning to call people and say, hey, we drafted a center.
From
Someone's
Iowa.
going to say, is this the Rockets or is this the Texans? What's going on here? Click. Okay. The guy's phenomenal.
Yeah.
He's awesome. But a lot of Texans fans would be unhappy with a center being the 13th overall selection.
Well, especially considering what we've heard about Tyler Linderbaum's draft stock over the last couple of weeks, right? You're starting to hear that he might fall out of the first round. Like there's a chance that he could be there for the Texans at 37 on day 2. And if you take him at 13, couple that with, the fact that you're talking about a center, I'm with you. That would tick off a ton of Texans fans.
That's the thing is not only that, it's draft season has been unkind to him as well. Like it's draft season's been unkind to Kayvon Thibodeaux. Draft season's been unkind to Tyler Linderbaum.
Yep.
And folks are going to go look at that and say, well, hold on. This guy's the best center, but Mel Kiper said he was the 20-something best player, and we picked him at 13, and he's a center. And then some Texans fans might say, we already have a center. I think Linderbaum probably start day 1 over Britt, but, who knows?
I actually love the Linderbaum pick.
I would love it, too.
Like, I would have no issue with
We
that.
would be on the air the next day singing the praises of Tyler Linderbaum being on the Houston Texans, but we'd have to do some convincing of people.
When you hear everyone say he's the best center prospect, and then if you draft him, you lock up that position for 10 years. But, he's going to fall out of the first round. I don't understand that. So if you took him at 13 and he's as good as what people say, boom, you just locked up center for 10 years. I'd say that's a pretty good use of the 13th pick in the draft.
Yeah.
You'd have to convince me a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I think he's really good. I just
And he's a friend of the show.
don't think you'd have to take him that high.
And we defend friends of the show to death.
That's not true.
We do.
No.
Aiden Hutchinson.
Well, I mean, I will defend him.
Dude, Roger Goodell's going to let you go out there on the stage with him and do the bro hug if he's there at 3 for the Texans.
That's not going to happen.
For those who missed it, we made that announcement yesterday.
Official?
It's official.
No.
The NFL has confirmed Cody Stoots is allowed to do the bro hug with Aiden Hutchinson and Goodell in Vegas if Hutchinson slides to number 3.
Nope.
Tweet that out. I'll give my top 3 real quick because I know we're up against it, and I'm kind of cheating here. Top 3 picks at 13 that would piss off the most Texans fans. Number 3, one of the non-top 2 cornerbacks. So a Trent McDuffie or a Kyler Gordon or a Ka'ir Elam because people are going to be like, why don't you trade up a couple of spots to get somebody else?
Fair.
Number 2, a non-Kyle Hamilton safety.
Oh, yeah.
Kyle Hamilton goes off the board. You know you need a safety, but you pick it, or you stick at 13 and pick like a Lewis Seen or a Daxton Hill. That would piss a lot of people off. And number 1, similar to what you said, Cody, any interior offensive lineman, whether it's Linderbaum, Kenyon Green, another friend of the show from Texas A&M, Zion Johnson from BC. Ain't nobody wants an interior O-lineman, man. The Texans clearly need help there. Ain't nobody wants that to be your first-round pick.
That's true.
I think Texas fans would be ticked off if that happened.
IOL is a thumbs down from most Texans fans.
Yeah.
Interior offensive line. There you go.
Thank you for watching my video. If you like the content, then please subscribe to my channel and like this video, and make sure you tune into the Wheelhouse on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5 weekdays from 3 to 7 every afternoon.